Hey, I'm Carmel Gabriel, and I'm the Executive Director of the Banquet Table. Okay, when I was a student at UTSA, which was not that long ago, they had no sidewalks on UTSA Boulevard. So it was such a commuter school that nobody was walking on UTSA Boulevard. And not only did they have no sidewalks, they had one strip center for students that was walkable from campus. And all that it had in it was a hookah bar, a club, and a bookstore. So the three things a student needs, I guess. But that's all that was there. And I remember as a freshman talking with my mom and being like, how is there not a coffee shop here that's walkable for students? There's 30,000 students. And I just thought, whoever does that, it just can't fail. There's no way it'll fail. I was a CAP student at UTSA, which is one of the students that after a year you transfer. And so I transferred to the University of Texas at Austin. And there has to be 5 or 10 coffee shops that are walkable from campus for a student. And I grew so much that year around coffee tables. But there was just something about UTSA that in my heart I knew I was called to this campus and to come back. And so I actually transferred back after that year. Once I came back to UTSA, I started doing college ministry, and it became even more apparent that we needed a gathering place for college students. We would have to rent classrooms for small groups or for large hangouts, and the classroom is a pretty lame place to get invited back to when you're a college student for anything. And so it just was super apparent, like, we need a gathering place here at UTSA. While doing ministry, I just felt a growing need to pray, that God was asking me to pray for a gathering place. And eventually, not just for me to believe and pray, but to invite others in to believe and pray. And so there was a handful of people that were older than me that I knew loved Jesus, but I didn't know well, that God just made apparent, like, go tell them and ask them to pray. And so it was very hard as a young 20-year-old to do that, but eventually I just had the faith, like, I really believe this is what God's asking me to do. So I went and told each one of these people.
When I first heard the idea that they had about the banquet table and the ministry that's going on right now at UTSA, and not only UTSA, but broadening out across the San Antonio area, I really just love the way that they're bringing other nonprofits and ministries together. I think it's natural to want your voice to be the loudest in this world. And so a ministry that the Banquet Table is bringing up is calling lots of other people to be highlighted and be part of the plan. The Banquet Table is not just about the Banquet Table. They want to see ministry happen from this ministry, bring them together, highlight them, make that a focal point of their gatherings from month to month. And that is simply my favorite thing about it, and why I'm so excited to be part of the Banquet Table ministry.
After getting the courage to ask these strangers to pray with me, I actually had a dream about the Banquet Table. In my dream, it was kind of like being on HGTV when you go through a final walkthrough and the house is complete. And basically we had taken an old house that was condemned and like falling apart, moved it to land by UTSA and renovated it. And we were walking in, super cool. Every room had its own aesthetic and its own feel. The first room was desks to study. The next room was more couches and living room just to sit and gather. And in my dream, I go upstairs, and to the left was one long room, and all it had in it was a table, long and wide, that filled the room. And I remember in my dream thinking, oh my gosh, the Lord is gonna make a gathering place. This is the gathering place.
The thing that I get excited about most when I imagine the banquet table being in a physical coffee house is, as an architect, I see how space affects people, and it has so much power to transform a moment, a day, or even like a life. And you know, I see that combined with the mission of the banquet table really coming together to create change and to create a really profound impact for the community of UTSA.
Once I got into that room, I heard the Lord say, things are going to change in my name in this city and at this school because of the gatherings that occur around this table in my word and prayer. And I just could not believe that He was going to do that. And I woke up from my dream and I punched my husband and I'm like, you're not going to believe it. God is going to do it. Here's what it looks like. And I knew from that dream that it was called the banquet table. And so I said, it's called the banquet table. And so I actually called those people that I had asked to pray, and I met with them. I told them the dream. And from there, they became the board of the banquet table.
So I remember when I first heard about it from Carmel, it was actually in a coffee house, in a coffee shop, and she related this dream, or this really vision she had that was convicting because it was so detailed and down to like specific rooms and what the banquet table looked like. And so there's that exciting vision of a space that's, or a house or a building near UTSA that I think will happen. But I think what's more exciting, or just as exciting, is what has already happened and what's happening now ministry-wise, because I think Carmel's done a really good job of focusing on the more figurative meaning of the banquet table.
After we knew a concept, we knew the name, we started to pray for more vision, and we landed on 3 things. One, we know that the coffee house itself, we didn't want to be overtly Christian in any means with Bible verses or anything that would really intimidate anyone to come. We want anyone to come wherever they're at, feel welcome, to feel cared for, and just feel comfortable. And so we knew that from the beginning. The second one is that we, at the same time, wanted whoever worked there to really love Jesus. And this was so that they had a heart to serve. That they had a heart to serve great coffee, they had a heart to serve people, and they had a heart just to know the people and love them that came through the door, whoever came through the door. And so part of that was that the 10 or so college students that work there part-time, we want to be in a year-long discipleship program where they're getting paid to work, make coffee, and make the place beautiful, but they're also learning about Jesus and being poured into for a year. And so that's kind of the second piece. And then the third piece was we know that we want the banquet table to bless the whole city. We really feel called to local nonprofits. And we want to bless them in a couple ways. One is honor one per month, tell their story really well, and give them proceeds from our coffee sales. But we've always kind of been passionate that we don't want to just give money away, even though that's super important. Every mission runs on money. We want to do more. We want to tell their story really well, use our social media, use our things to really honor them and tell them. And then our place could be a gathering place where we also honor them. Whether they need to have a fundraiser there, or we put on some kind of gathering where college students can come serve them and hear about their mission and get plugged in with their nonprofit. So there came a moment where we realized that we could start doing the mission of the banquet table even before we had a house, a coffee house. And we just felt like God said, hey, go do these things. Love a few people, disciple them really well, and honor local nonprofits. And we've really been blessed in that.
You can see how that's already spreading, and you can see already how the vision of the banquet table is impacting this community and how it's growing. In a time where it can feel hopeless, like there is something happening at the banquet table that is hopeful and that is beautiful.
So what we do right now is we have a mobile coffee cart behind a bike that we take to UTSA, and we actually give out free coffee, and that's just a great way college students live off of coffee, but especially if it's free. They feel so loved by that simple gesture, and so we build relationships over coffee. And we also honor one nonprofit a month at UTSA. And so basically while we give out coffee, we're saying, hey, this month, here's who we're honoring, here's their mission, and here's the gathering that we're gonna have at the end of the month around their mission. So at the end of every month, we'll host something that is relative to a college student that they would actually want to go to, that doesn't feel like a service project that they have to go to. And I'll give you some examples. So we've done a thrift store in the middle of campus in honor of Revolution Thrift, who's a thrift store in town that's a nonprofit. And they give away their proceeds to other nonprofits. And so we thought, okay, college students love thrifting, so let's do that. So we had a thrift store in the middle of campus and gave Revolution Thrift all of the proceeds. Another one that we've done, we've had an open mic night for a deaf and hard of hearing nonprofit, Aid the Silent. And we just wanted to have a night that the hearing and the deaf could enjoy together, and that the deaf wouldn't feel left out, and that they would feel highly honored. And so we had musicians and we had performers, and every performance was ASL interpreted, and it was beautiful. And then our iconic gathering that we have is called a Banquet Table meal, and it's actually in honor of UTSA. They have a food pantry, which is awesome for students that are hungry, that you can go at any time and check out 5 or 6 items a day from this pantry. And so we do a banquet table meal. It's essentially 20 or so tables long, and it's a free meal for any student. It's also a food drive, so if you're able to, we ask people to donate non-perishable food items for the pantry. And so that's kind of our iconic one. But those are just examples of what we get to do now, which is really awesome. So the Banquet Table's mission statement is gathering around coffee and local nonprofits. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of that. Whether you're on our team or you're a donor, we're truly thankful to get to gather around the city of San Antonio with you.